my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We are on block 11 of Grandma's Kitchen. And I'm going to do our two things that are kind of celebrations. One is it's Nurses Day, so shout out to all the absolutely fantastic nurses out there. Woohoo! And if you are a nurse, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do. If you have a quilt with nursing theme, nursing fabric, share it, because I know there are a lot of those out there and that I've seen them in the past, so that would be a fun thing to share. It is also Popcorn Day. I always love hearing about popcorn. I don't know why. When I had my last corporate jobs, probably the last 12 years of those, 15 years of those corporate jobs, popcorn was a super big thing in the office. Now, because I haven't been in office for 25 years, I have no idea what offices are like anymore. But it was a major deal to go have afternoon popcorn, and it was a nice break. It smelled delicious. We had a VP once who would just scout out whoever had made popcorn because he said popcorn smelled like heaven, and he had to come have some. So it was always kind of a thing, to have popcorn. So I just had to tell you it's Popcorn Day, and if you are a fan of popcorn, leave a comment. I like that salted caramel popcorn stuff. Oh yeah, just add all that on there. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, it is block 12. And block 12 is called the kitchen door, because the kitchen doors are super important. And one of the things about them is that they tend to have a sound. Sometimes you can kind of hear a sound and take right away back to that time frame of the kitchen. Oh my gosh, it just is so cool. So here's the block. I did down here a little diagram. If you want to color it a different way, you can color it, so that it makes more like a circle, like the darker going in or the darker going out, like the big diagram has. And then here is in repeat. So there we go. All right. I want to hear kitchen door stories, whether, we already talked about the keys my granny had by the kitchen door, but there's probably other fun things that you have about a kitchen door, whether it's your own or not. They often go out into the backyard, don't they? My grandparents, all the homes that I lived in that weren't like an apartment, even our first one of the first apartments I remember, the kitchen door went out into the backyard. So that's where a kitchen door goes. I don't have a door in my kitchen. I have no door in this kitchen in this house. You come into this room here and then you go outside into the backyard, or you go into the garage and you go out in the backyard. So what fabric am I going to use? Let's first look at what's happening up there with the other camera. Color-wise, where do I want to go with this? Not purple. I got the purples here. I could pop a little bit of orange down in here. That might be super cool. I've got green here, and I've got green above and green above, so no green. Oh, there's purple there too. There's quite a bit of purple. I could do this aqua again down here. Even though I have some aqua there, it's heavy peach, so I could do something like that, sort of repeat that colorway down here. That's also aqua there. I don't know. We're going to pull the fabrics and see. Could be red. I could pull red. I got red, a little bit of red just in the middle of that one. So maybe red. Maybe red and the peach background, and maybe a little dark of the aqua. Let's see. This is our opportunity as we go along to take, if you're working with a fat quarter bundle like I am, to take that and really play around with what you have, balance your colors, because so many fat quarters are like this particular one where there's a wide variety of colors versus maybe one like when we did Ode to the National Parks. I did two colorways. I did one that was just in primarily blue and white with a little bit of green, so that's like a really narrow colorway. But most of the time a fabric bundle is going to have more colors, so spreading them around is good because you don't want like all orange in one corner. I don't want to have like one spot of that yellow, that kind of a thing. So what I did is I grabbed some of these fabrics out of the bin. I do want to make the background this. Let me just see, where can I put this? You can see, okay. There we go. So you can see kind of see the block there. Whoops, no you can't. There you go. You can see the block. So I have this ballerina pink, and there's none on that line or right above it. Actually, they're all kind of another top left. So this will be good to bring this back in for the backgrounds. And then I think I'll make it primarily teal. I went with the darker teal that I have, and not one with a ton of pattern like this one has a bunch of other colors. I wanted one that kept the colors tight. And then let's see, if I do the center, like the center pinwheel, I could do the center pinwheels in orange. This one is what I already used, so I'd rather use the other one, this one here. Center pinwheel I could do in orange. I could, if I wanted more orange, I could do the outers as orange as well, because that'll be like almost like half and half, teal and orange. The other thing would be to make it red. And red and teal both of these look great. There's actually the same pattern. But I'm leaning towards the red and maybe just popping it in the middle. If I were to do the orange, which is really a light sherbet, it's not as dark. I'm leaning that one to putting the four corners. We still have 3 more rows. So we have opportunities for color in a lot more places. But yeah, which do you like? You can leave the comments. You're going to find out because I'm going to cut them here. But let me cut them up and surprise you. I decided to go with the orange because there's red right above. Duh. I don't know why I wasn't seeing that or wasn't locking in until I looked over there again when I was looking at the fabric. So I went with the orange, and I love that. But instead of just rushing and sewing the block, I've put it up here unsewn. All the half square triangles are made because I'm going to rotate those outer ones and see if I like them rotated in better than out. Let's take a look. Okay, that's kind of cool too. Well, I kind of like them in. Now, if you wanted the sort of ball effect, you need to also make all of these points with the same orange. Do you see that? See, I'm not making that connection because these aren't orange. But if these were orange, if that's the look you want, then you have to plan that beforehand. But at this point, I can just rotate 2. So I think I kind of like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew that up. It turned out great. This kind of corner treatment, it kind of looks like a folded over box to me, always as as a little bit of a 3D effect. Let me put it up on the wall with everything else so you can see it in its final. You just kind of saw it, unsewn, but let's see it sewn up. That looks really good. It looks really good to bring that little bit of orange in. And remember, we have 3 more rows. And I can start working on sashing, although I have put 0 thought into it. I'm thinking very controlled colors, like maybe just 2-color sashing because there's so many different colors I'm using, rather than having a variety of colors and then having to kind of coordinate that across everything. I might just do maybe white and pink. I mean, that would be really light, like the ballerina pink and a white. I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much, but I might do something like that so that the blocks do not get, so I don't have to color coordinate so much. All right, I want to tell you a little bit about the peppermint. Let me grab that. I did the stitching on the peppermint, and while I was doing that, I did a whole sort of series of tips about fusible applique. So let's take a look at those. When coming to stitching this peppermint, you can approach it 2 ways. You can do the white first or the red first. It really doesn't matter. In hand applique, you would do the bottom layer first so that it's flat, and that, logically that makes a lot of sense, right? You don't want to be doing these pieces up here. But it doesn't matter. These edges are all fused down. You're doing it by machine, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to do the white first, and I come this way. I sew counterclockwise, and I will start and stop. So do a locking stitch, do the blanket stitch, stop, do a locking stitch, and then I'll probably cut the threads because this is a pretty long distance. If it were like a short distance, like maybe just like here, I might lock and then just pick the needle out, shift over, and start and lock again. But because this is such a long distance, I will cut the threads. I'll use the automatic thread cutter to do that, which pulls the threads to the back for me, so I don't have to do that on that ending one. When I get to the red, it's a bit of a puzzle. Like this one, there's nothing tucked under, right, because it's the top peppermint. But underneath, you have these bottom peppermints. I don't need to sew this edge over here because the white will be sewn, and so I don't need to sew on the red at all. And I could start here. I could change, and I could either stop here or I could change to a straight stitch and come here. I don't want to do a blanket stitch just from here to here and then start the blanket stitch down here, because it's, well, first of all, then you're going to back stitch to this somehow, and I don't think that it will not look smooth, your blanket stitch on the circle. If you're just doing little segments of it, it's just going to look messy. So that means for this particular one, I will probably come here and stop, and then come there and stop. For the big petals, I want to go as far as I can without stopping. So it means starting at the inside, going to the outside, going along the outer edge, and back up to the inside. So that's how I will do all of the petals. Here to the outer and around. And then of course this one is also tucked under, so the same deal as that one, just going from one edge down. And then at the end, I will come and do the little dots in the middle of everything. So that's the plan. Well, I said I was going to do white first, but I have red in here, so we'll do red first. It doesn't really matter. I am on the Solaris Vision. I am on stitch 204, and these are my settings, which are actually the default for this machine. And the 4 tension, I think this is black. It's all the default. And so that works really well. Be sure that you have, it's not reversed. It's not, this is your standard blanket stitch. You can reverse it. I do that when I'm doing binding, but this is standard. In order to do the locking stitch, I use this button on the Baby Lock Solaris, so you know that. So it just takes the needle up and down. But in order to do the locking stitch, I have to hold it. And when I hold it, it has a setting. So it does about 4 or 5 stitches and stops. And I use that default. That's what I use. Now as I'm stitching this, there is a slight curve, so you do need to rotate a little bit or just slowly as you're doing things. You know, be sure you're shifting, because you know I have the foot so it lifts whenever the needle is down, so it gives me the ability to shift. But it's just minutiae. I mean, it's just a tiny, tiny little bit. And you absolutely always, always, always rotate when your needle is in the background. Never when it's in the fabric, in the applique fabric, because if you do, you will make a V. You will come in like this and out like that, and you will make a V. So basically on this, I do not need to do a big rotation until I get to the corner where I have to pivot. Now here I had to do a little bit more. So I had to shift it a little bit more. When I get to the corner here, I have to rotate or pivot because I have to go the exact opposite way. So I'm going to try here to just kind of get down to the corner there. I just kind of hold the fabric so it doesn't, you know, go forward as much as it might if I'm just doing the feed dog, you know, letting the feed dogs do everything. You have control over your machine. So I'll pivot and away we go. And I will repeat this for every single petal. There's one, or you know, every single spiral. There I just did a jump. You can see here's the here's the thread. See the thread there? So I just jumped from here over to here to start working again rather than cutting it. And there's a close-up of my 2 corners. So I'm really happy with those. They're nice. And you can see also that I am super, super tight on the edge. I don't have any white showing, and I've also stayed off of the applique with the straight part. Sometimes people ask, like, you can see like a little minutia thread. Where is it? Like a little minutia thread, a little minutia thread there. What you're doing, if you get those, if you're getting a lot of those and they're a bit longer, it's because your needle is hitting the red fabric, and because this is on bias, it's actually just pulling. You know, you've hit the red fabric and you're pulling a thread off by hitting the needle, just barely touching it and splitting it away from the fabric, because the bias is, you know, and it's got lots of little ends of fibers all along there. So if you all of a sudden have like tons of these eyelashes, these little things, this to me is like, so you're up way, way, way up close. I don't even think about those ones. Here I am at the circle, and I need to pivot because the stitch comes this way. So now I will just stitch. Okay, there we go. Stitch, stitch another one, and then I'm going to rotate. So probably each individual bite, like this part, bite, that's the bite, I will do a rotate and then do the straight part in the bite and rotate. So I have to do that for every stitch because this is a teeny tiny circle. Here it is, so you can see that they're nicely spaced all the way around. And then when I got to the, say this is the last stitch, I don't remember, when I got to the last stitch, I just did one more straight and then locked it. That way I did have a line right here, a stitch line. It's in the background, it's a decorative stitch. If you don't do it, it's your things are not going to fall off. That's all in the background, but that works. So that's what it looks like. I accidentally created a no man's land. See that little white section right here? You can just leave that if you want. If you accidentally did that, normally I would try to have made the pinwheel match, you know, come closer so there wasn't so much of a gap. Not that that's a very big gap. Your quilt will not fall apart if you do not stitch that. Eventually, if you were to wash this a ton, it might lift up there. But what I will do is I will go in and do a couple of, like maybe two. I'll try to fit in 2 stitches here just to lock it down. But if you don't, you don't. It's just next time I will double check and triple check that I don't leave any kind of little teeny weeny gaps like that I have to deal with. And there are my 2 stitches. Let me know if that was useful. You know, I've done those before, but I thought while I was making it, it was just easier to kind of give you my thoughts about what was going on. Okay, now we're going to do a block parade with the peppermint blocks from all of you, and I'm just pulling the peppermints. Some of you did alternate piece blocks, some of you did alternate applique, like you made different looking candies that mean something to your family. But to keep it less confusing, the block parade is only peppermints. So, and lots of gorgeous peppermints. Let's take a look. We start off with Barb, whose wonderful memories are of her grandma having dum-dums and chiclets in her purse. I love that so many people had grandmas with purses of stuff, because that's always so much fun. So much fun for me to hear other people's grandmas had candy in their purse that you get to dig around for. Different Barb said her grandma only had peppermints out at Christmas, and the rest of the year she did butterscotch. Becky's block, oh, so cute with those stripes. Her grandma had lifesavers and butter candy. Oh, I don't know what butter candy is, so I will have to look that up. Or somebody can just leave comments in the description box here at YouTube. Here is Bill's block. That's super cute. Oh, love the navy background. See, Charlene, she said that her dad always had peppermint by his bed, and so she decided to make spearmint blocks, because I think she said that worked better for her quilt to have green ones. A lot of you like spearmint, so that comes up a few times here. Here's Christine's block. Really love that background. Look at that. So nice. Daphine's got a no swirls in the middle, because she said her grandpa carried those big pink mints. I totally forgotten about those. I used to love those mints. I guess they still make them. I don't know. We'll have to go look now. Deborah's grandparents owned a gas station, and there was a kitchen where her grandma cooked, and they always had candy around inside at the kitchen, whatever. So look how fun this is. Look how fun with that stripe. Deanne, she put the stripe as the background. I love that. Looks so good. Janet's grandma and grandpa didn't bring candy, but they did bring apples and oranges. I really like these 30s prints here for her block. So pretty. Jennifer's gorgeous block on gray, and she used a different fabric for each of the wheels, you know, all the different stripes in there, or the swirls. Lots of different fabrics, so that's super fun to see. Jones, oh, look at these. She said there was butterscotch. Her grandma had butterscotch. A lot of you had grandmas with butterscotch. I think there was butterscotch around in my family, but I didn't care for it, so it doesn't really stick out in my head. Love that one fabric with the zigzag. Super cool. Here's Karen's and her there's spearmints. See, there's the spearmints and the peppermints. And this dish is her mom's. So sweet, so sweet. Kim's block on a gorgeous big gingham background. Wow, I love that scale of background. Super nice. And different Kim, and her grandma had butterscotch in her purse. So there's butterscotch swirls. I love them so much. Laura's grandma always had a plate of cookies, so she opted for a plate of cookies. She used the same circle and put it on a gingham. So darling. And Laura is my friend, who is also one of our ambassadors. Look at that cookie jar. Look at that. Mildred's gorgeous block. She's also got sashing going on. I love the background. I think she's using this in a lot of her blocks. Super fun. Patsy's block looks so good. Excellent. Sandra's has 3 different colored candies on a gray background. That's a pretty gray. Let's see, Susan's block, another one on a gorgeous red background. They look awesome. I see little horseshoes. Now I'm going to show you her grandma's bowl. So this is the bowl that her grandma had, and she kept treats for the horses. And I think she said she gave the horses peppermint. I don't know anything about horses, so maybe I read that wrong. We have a different Susan, and here is her candy dish that was a duplicate. The candy dish is a duplicate of her grandma's. So sweet. My friend Susan, who helps as an ambassador, here is her block, and she likes butterscotch. So there is her one butterscotch for her. I think she said her grandkids don't like that. They like gummy bears. Yeah, I think that happens a lot, doesn't it? And Valentine with her beautiful block on a lovely navy. They look so good. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Thank you so much to everybody who generously shares your work with our community, because it just means so much. It is a lot of fun. If you've never shared your work, try it. It is so much fun to share and have other people give you kudos, like, hey, that looks awesome. You know, it's really fun. And if you have questions, of course, you know, like on color placement, people ask those kind of things in the community as well. All right, we are on the kitchen door. I would love to hear a little bit about your kitchen door. If it is just talking about the kitchen door, showing your kitchen door, do that over at the Fireside Chat at Facebook, Pat Sloan's Fireside Chat, where we talk about the things from this video that are not quilting related. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.